There are moments in life when everything feels like it's falling apart. You lose your job. Someone you trusted walks away. Your health takes a hit. Your dreams seem to crumble in front of your eyes.
A man is what he thinks about all day long. William James said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." And he also said, "We need only in cold blood act as if the thing in question were real, and it will become infallibly real by growing into such a connection with our life that it will become real."
Purpose is what gives a man meaning. It is what drives him forward. It is what makes him wake up each morning with determination in his heart. A man who has a purpose is never truly alone, because his mission in life fills his soul in ways that no human companionship ever could. When a man understands his purpose, he does not waste his time searching for validation from others. He does not measure his worth by who loves him or who chooses him. Instead, he stands firm in the knowledge that his life has meaning beyond relationships.
You want to feel proud of yourself? Earn it. Track your time like it's gold. Wake up with purpose, move with urgency, build something. The dopamine you get from scrolling is weak compared to the power you feel when you're locked in, focused, disciplined, and unstoppable. If you don't change now, then when? Next year? After another setback? After your dream dies in front of you? No, the time is now, not tomorrow, not later, right now. This is your hour. Own it, guard it, dominate it. Because every second you waste is a second you'll wish you had back when the game is over. There was a point in my life where everything was chaos. Not chaos in the world, chaos in my mind. I'd wake up whenever my body felt like it. No structure, no urgency. I didn't know what day it was, let alone what I was supposed to do with it. I'd lie to myself saying I was figuring things out, when in reality, I was just killing time, one lazy hour at a time.
Newsflash, we're all gonna die, okay? What happens after we die, we don't know. Who cares? It doesn't matter. That's not up for debate right now. But what's factual and true is we're all gonna die. So why would you spend time right now working, with the goal of making $100 a day when your goal should be much bigger? When you raise your standards and when you hold yourself to a higher minimum line, like in the sand, if you will, again, raising your standards. So when you raise your standards, then you're going to do better. And there's going to be people that you're going to have to leave behind. I mean, there's probably a lot of people around you that are okay with making $100 a day. And if you set a goal of making $1,000 a day, then you're not going to be hanging out with a $100 a day crowd or the $50 a day crowd, right? That's why I'm saying, I want you to think bigger.
When your mind is focused on solutions, you find solutions. When your mind is focused on opportunities, you see opportunities. When your mind is focused on possibilities, possibilities show up. But when your mind is focused on problems, all you see are problems. When your mind is focused on what's wrong, that's all you notice. Your mind finds whatever you tell it to look for. Here's another thing I learned. An uncontrolled mind will cost you everything. It will cost you your relationships because you'll be moody and unpredictable. It will cost you your finances because you'll make emotional decisions instead of smart decisions. It will cost you your health because you'll be stressed and anxious all the time. It will cost you your dreams because you'll give up at the first sign of difficulty. I've seen brilliant people fail miserably because they couldn't control their thinking.
Just like gold must be refined in fire to shine, you must go through trials to be shaped into the version of you that can carry the blessing you've been praying for. Let's look at a powerful metaphor. Imagine you're a seed. From the outside, it looks like you're buried, covered in dirt, surrounded by darkness. But in truth, you're not buried. You're planted. That darkness is necessary for your growth. That pressure is what pushes your roots deep. And those roots, they prepare you to rise stronger, taller, unshakable. What you thought was the end was actually the beginning. The Bible says in James 1:2-4, "Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance." God isn't punishing you, He's promoting you. But promotion doesn't come without pressure. And elevation never comes without preparation. So if you're struggling right now, if you feel like the storm will never pass, remember this: the storm isn't meant to drown you. It's meant to prepare you to walk on water. Sometimes God allows the chaos so you'll cling to Him. Sometimes He strips away your comfort so you'll find your true identity. Sometimes He closes the door so you'll stop banging on the wrong one. What you call failure, God calls formation. What you call delay, God calls development. What you call loss, God calls liberation.
If you only care enough for a result, you will almost certainly attain it. If you wish to be rich, you will be rich. If you wish to be learned, you will be learned. If you wish to be good, you will be good. Only you must then really wish these things, and wish them exclusively, and not wish at the same time 100 other incompatible things just as strongly. In the Bible, you read in Mark 9:23, "If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth." My old friend Dr. Norman Vincent Peale put it this way: "This is one of the greatest laws in the universe. Fervently do I wish I had discovered it as a very young man. It dawned upon me much later in life, and I found it to be one of the greatest, if not my greatest discovery outside of my relationship to God. The great law, briefly and simply stated, is that if you think in negative terms, you will get negative results. If you think in positive terms, you will achieve positive results. That is the simple fact," he went on to say, "which is at the basis of an astonishing law of prosperity and success. In 3 words, believe and succeed." William Shakespeare put it this way: "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt." George Bernard Shaw said, "People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them." Well, that's pretty apparent, isn't it? And every person who discovered this for a while believed that he was the first one to work it out. We become what we think about. Now, it stands to reason that a person who's thinking about a concrete and worthwhile goal is going to reach it, because that's what he's thinking about, and we become what we think about. Conversely, the man who has no goal, who doesn't know where he's going, and whose thoughts must therefore be thoughts of confusion and anxiety and fear and worry, becomes what he thinks about. His life becomes one of frustration and fear and anxiety and worry. And if he thinks about nothing, he becomes nothing. Now, how does it work? Why do we become what we think about? Well, I'll tell you how it works as far as we know. Now, to do this, I want to tell you about a situation that parallels the human mind. Suppose a farmer has some land, and it's good fertile land. Now, the land gives the farmer a choice. He may plant in that land whatever he chooses. The land doesn't care. It's up to the farmer to make the decision. Now, remember, we're comparing the human mind with the land because the mind, like the land, doesn't care what you plant in it. It will return what you plant, but it doesn't care what you plant. Now, let's say that the farmer has 2 seeds in his hand. One is a seed of corn. The other is nightshade, a deadly poison. He digs 2 little holes in the earth, and he plants both seeds, one corn, the other nightshade. He covers up the holes, waters, and takes care of the land, and what will happen? Invariably, the land will return what's planted. As it's written in the Bible, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Now remember, the land doesn't care. It'll return poison in just as wonderful abundance as it will corn. So up come the 2 plants, one corn, one poison. Now, the human mind is far more fertile, far more incredible and mysterious than the land, but it works the same way. It doesn't care what we plant. Success, failure. A concrete, worthwhile goal, or confusion.
Beyond emotions, beyond fleeting moments of affection. Look at history. The greatest men who have ever walked this earth were not defined by whether or not they had a girlfriend, a wife, or a romantic partner. They were defined by what they accomplished, by what they stood for, by what they gave to the world. Their impact was not measured by the relationships they had, but by the purpose that burned within them. They were driven by something greater than personal happiness. They were driven by a mission, a calling, a reason for existing that went beyond themselves. A man who knows his purpose does not crumble under the weight of loneliness. He does not feel incomplete simply because he is not in a relationship. Instead, he uses this time, this season of solitude, to build himself, to refine his skills, to grow stronger in his faith, in his knowledge, in his ability to contribute to the world. He does not waste his days longing for someone to complete him, because he knows that he is already whole. He does not seek a relationship out of desperation, but out of abundance. knowing that when the time is right, love will not be something he needs, but something he can give. The world will try to tell him otherwise. It will tell him that a man without a woman is somehow broken, that he is missing out on life, that he is incomplete. But a man who understands his purpose does not listen to the noise of the world. He listens to something deeper. He listens to the calling that was placed in his heart long before he ever thought about relationships. He knows that his value does not come from romance, but from what he was created to do. Purpose gives a man strength. It gives him direction. It gives him a reason to wake up every day and fight for something bigger than himself. A man without purpose will always feel lost, even if he is surrounded by love. But a man with purpose will never feel empty, even if he walks alone. That is the difference. That is what sets apart the men who make a difference from the men who simply exist. Think of the warrior who trains in solitude. He does not train so that he can impress someone. He does not fight so that he can gain approval. He fights because it is his calling. It is his purpose. He knows that the battle is coming and he prepares for it, whether or not anyone sees him. His strength is not dependent on applause. His worth is not tied to who recognizes him. He is driven by something deeper, something unshakable. And so it is with a man who understands his purpose. He does not seek validation from the world. He does not measure his worth by the number of people who love him. He knows that his life is meant for something greater. He knows that he was not placed on this earth simply to be in a relationship, but to fulfill a mission, to make an impact, to leave a legacy. A man who chases purpose over validation is a man who cannot be broken. He does not crumble under loneliness because he knows he is never truly alone. He does not seek love out of desperation because he is already fulfilled. His worth is not determined by whether or not someone chooses him because he has already chosen himself. And when the world looks at him, when they wonder how he can walk with such confidence, how he can stand so strong even without a partner, they will see the truth. They will see that his strength does not come from who is beside him, but from the fire that burns within him.
And I've seen average people achieve extraordinary things because they learn to master their minds. The difference isn't talent. The difference isn't luck. The difference isn't background or education. The difference is mental discipline. Most people live their entire lives on mental autopilot. They react to whatever happens to them. Something good happens, they feel good. Something bad happens, they feel bad. They're like a leaf blowing in the wind, going wherever the wind takes them. They're not in control of their emotional state. They're not in control of their mental state. They're just reacting to life instead of creating life. But here's what successful people understand. You don't have to be a victim of your circumstances. You don't have to be a victim of your emotions. You don't have to be a victim of your thoughts. You can learn to choose your thoughts. You can learn to direct your mind. You can learn to control your mental and emotional state. The first step is awareness. You have to become aware of what's going on in your mind. Most people are so busy reacting to life that they never stop to notice what they're thinking about. They're on mental autopilot, and they don't even know it. But you can't change what you're not aware of. Start paying attention to your thoughts. Notice what you think about first thing in the morning. Notice what you think about throughout the day. Notice what you think about before you go to bed. Are your thoughts helping you or hurting you? Are they moving you toward your goals or away from your goals? Are they making you stronger or weaker? Here's what I discovered. Most people's minds are full of mental junk. They're worried about things that might never happen. They're angry about things that happened years ago. They're frustrated about things they can't control. They're spending their mental energy on everything except what matters most. Your mind has limited capacity. You can only think about so many things at once. So if your mind is full of worry, doubt, fear, and negative thinking, there's no room for the thoughts that could actually help you. There's no room for creative thinking. There's no room for solution thinking. There's no room for opportunity thinking. But when you clean up your mental diet, when you start controlling what goes into your mind, everything changes. When you stop feeding your mind mental junk food and start feeding it mental nutrition, your whole life transforms. Think about it this way. You wouldn't eat garbage and expect to be healthy, would you? Of course not. But most people are feeding their minds garbage every single day and wondering why they feel terrible. Your mind needs good nutrition just like your body does. What kind of books are you reading? What kind of music are you listening to? What kind of conversations are you having? What kind of TV shows are you watching? What kind of websites are you visiting? All of this is mental food. And just like physical food, mental food either makes you stronger or weaker. There's no neutral. I started asking myself better questions, and that changed everything. Instead of asking, why does this always happen to me, I started asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of asking, why is life so hard, I started asking, how can I get better at handling challenges? Instead of asking, why don't I have what I want, I started asking, what do I need to do to earn what I want? The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. Poor questions give you poor answers, but good questions give you good answers. Your mind is like a computer. It will give you exactly what you program it to look for. If you ask it to look for problems, it will find problems. If you ask it to look for solutions, it will find solutions.
Every setback you face is not just something to endure. It's something to extract wisdom from, because inside the fire, you're being refined. You're being recalibrated for your destiny. Ask yourself, what did I learn in this storm that I couldn't have learned in sunshine? What strengths did I discover in the middle of this struggle? What part of me is being made stronger, deeper, more real? You see, it's easy to praise God when everything is going right, but true faith is forged when nothing seems to be working, yet you trust Him anyway. That's when the shift happens. That's when God takes what was meant to break you and uses it to build you. So don't curse your struggle. Don't rush to escape it. Lean into it. Learn from it, because your greatest trial may be preparing you for your greatest testimony. Remember, God isn't punishing you. He's positioning you, and one day sooner than you think, you'll look back and say, that was the moment God changed everything. Not every move of God comes with thunder. Not every transformation begins with fireworks. Sometimes, the biggest shifts in your life begin with the smallest, softest whisper. There's a reason Elijah didn't hear God in the wind, or the earthquake, or the fire. He heard Him in the still small voice, and so will you. You may be waiting for a grand sign, a booming voice from heaven, a miracle so obvious it leaves no room for doubt. But the truth is, God often moves in silence. He speaks through the pause, through the stillness, through the moment when no one else is watching. Have you ever sat alone in your room, no noisy, no distractions, and suddenly felt an unexpected peace, a calm that had no reason to be there? Or maybe a gentle nudge in your spirit, a whisper saying, keep going. Something is about to change. That wasn't your imagination. That was God. Because before He changes your life publicly, He often speaks to you privately. It might come as a thought that won't go away, a sentence in a book that jumps off the page, a dream that feels too vivid to ignore, or even a feeling deep in your chest that says something is shifting. Don't ignore these signs. Don't overlook the quiet. Stillness is not inactivity. It's preparation. Think about it. When a seed begins to sprout, it doesn't make noise, but under the surface, life is exploding. Roots are forming. Foundations are strengthening, and all of it is completely silent. That's how God works in you. While you're waiting, He's working. While you're resting, He's rebuilding. While you're silent, He's speaking louder than ever. Psalm 46:10 says, Be still and know that I am God. Why still? Because stillness removes distractions. It clears the noise of the world so you can hear the whisper of heaven. Some of the most powerful direction you will ever receive will come when no one else is around, when the world has gone quiet. And it's just you, your thoughts, and God. But most people miss it because we're always scrolling, always rushing, always talking.
You see, the human mind is the last great unexplored continent on Earth. It contains riches beyond our wildest dreams. It will return anything we want to plant. Now, you might say, well, if that's true, why don't people use their minds more? Well, I think they figured out an answer to that one, too. Our mind comes as standard equipment at birth. It's free, and things that are given to us for nothing we place little value on. Things that we pay money for, we value. The paradox is that exactly the reverse is true. Everything that's really worthwhile in life came to us free. Our minds, our souls, our bodies, our hopes, our dreams, our ambitions, our intelligence, our love of family and children and friends and country, all these priceless possessions are free. But the things that cost us money are actually very cheap and can be replaced at any time. A good man can be completely wiped out and make another fortune. He can do that several times. Even if our home burns down, we can rebuild it. But the things we got for nothing, we can never replace. The human mind isn't used because we take it for granted. Familiarity breeds contempt. It can do any kind of job we assign to it, but generally speaking, we use it for little jobs instead of big, important ones. Universities have proved that most of us are operating on about 10% or less of our abilities. So decide now, what is it you want? Plant your goal in your mind. It's the most important decision you ever make in your entire life. What is it you want? You want to be an outstanding salesman? A better worker at your particular job? Do you want to go places in your company, in your community? Do you want to get rich? All you've got to do is plant that seed in your mind, care for it, work steadily toward your goal, and it will become a reality. It not only will, there's no way that it cannot. You see, that's a law, like the laws of Sir Isaac Newton, the laws of gravity. If you get on top of a building and jump off, you'll always go down. You'll never go up. And it's the same with all the other laws of nature. They always work. They're inflexible. Think about your goal in a relaxed, positive way. Picture yourself in your mind's eye as having already achieved this goal. See yourself doing the things you will be doing when you've reached your goal. Ours has been called the phenobarbital age, the age of ulcers and nervous breakdowns and tranquilizers. At a time when medical research has raised us to a new plateau of good health and longevity, far too many of us worry ourselves into an early grave trying to cope with things in our own little personal ways without learning a few great laws that will take care of everything for us. These things we bring on ourselves through our habitual way of thinking. Every one of us is the sum total of his own thoughts. He is where he is because that's exactly where he really wants to be, whether he'll admit that or not. Each of us must live off the fruit of his thoughts in the future, because what you think today and tomorrow, next month and next year, will mold your life and determine your future. You're guided by your mind. I remember one time I was driving through eastern Arizona and I saw one of those giant earth-moving machines roaring along the road at about 35 miles an hour with what looked like 30 tons of dirt in it. A tremendous, incredible machine. And there was a little man perched way up on top with the wheel in his hands guiding it. And as I drove along, I was struck by the similarity of that machine to the human mind. Just suppose you're sitting at the controls of such a vast source of energy. Are you going to sit back and fold your arms and let it run itself into a ditch? Or are you going to keep both hands firmly on the wheel and control and direct this power to a specific, worthwhile purpose? It's up to you. You're in the driver's seat.
They will see that his worth is not found in his relationship status, but in the purpose that drives him forward. A man who knows his purpose is a man who is truly unstoppable. He is a man who cannot be shaken, who cannot be swayed, who does not need to search for meaning in others because he has already found it within himself. And that, my friends, is a life worth living. Loneliness is not an absence. It's an opportunity to grow deeper in faith and self-awareness. Many people fear being alone, as if solitude is a void that must be filled, as if an empty house, an empty chair, an empty bed signifies an empty life. But what if loneliness was never meant to be a punishment? What if the moments of being alone were not signs of something missing, but invitations to something greater? When a man finds himself alone, he stands at a crossroads. He can either see his solitude as an unbearable burden, something to escape at any cost, or he can embrace it as a season of growth, a time of refinement, a sacred space where he can discover the depths of his own soul. Those who run from loneliness often run from themselves. They distract themselves with people, with noise, with anything that will keep them from sitting in silence and facing the deeper questions of life. But those who are brave enough to embrace solitude, to lean into the silence, to listen to what their heart is truly saying, these are the men who grow. These are the men who become strong, not just in body, but in mind, in spirit, in wisdom. Loneliness has a way of revealing who a man really is. When no one else is around to affirm him, to validate him, to tell him what to do, he is left with nothing but himself. And in that space, he must decide who he is. Without the influence of a relationship, without the expectations of others shaping his identity, he has the rare opportunity to strip away everything false and come face to face with his true self. This is where faith is tested. When a man is alone, he can no longer rely on the comfort of another person's presence to keep him stable. He must turn to something deeper, something eternal. He must find his grounding in faith, in a belief that he is not truly alone, that there is a greater purpose behind his solitude. It is in these moments that he learns to trust, to listen, to seek something beyond the physical world. Some of the greatest men in history have walked through long seasons of solitude. They withdrew from the world, not because they were weak, but because they understood that true strength is built in the quiet places.
Most people ask terrible questions all day long. Why me? What if this doesn't work? What if I fail? What will people think? These questions program your mind to find evidence for all your fears and doubts. But successful people ask better questions. How can I make this work? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? What's the opportunity here? What can I learn from this? Here's another powerful strategy I learned. You must control your mental diet just like you control your physical diet. Every single day, you're feeding your mind thousands of thoughts, ideas, images, and concepts. Most people are completely unconscious about what they're putting into their mind. They'll spend 30 minutes reading labels at the grocery store to make sure they're eating healthy food, but they'll spend hours filling their minds with mental junk without giving it a second thought. Your mental diet consists of everything you expose your mind to, the books you read, the conversations you have, the music you listen to, the videos you watch, the people you spend time with. All of this becomes part of your mental nutrition. And just like physical nutrition, it either makes you stronger or weaker. There's no neutral ground here. I made a decision years ago to go on a mental diet. I stopped reading newspapers that filled my mind with problems I couldn't solve. I stopped watching TV shows that made me feel angry or depressed. I stopped having conversations with people who only wanted to complain about life. Instead, I started feeding my mind with books written by successful people. I started listening to educational programs. We started having conversations about ideas and possibilities instead of problems and limitations.
The whisper doesn't compete with noise. It waits until you're ready to listen. And when you finally pause long enough, you'll hear it. It may not give you the whole plan, but it will give you a spark, a sense of peace, a single next step, and that's all you need. Moses didn't get a vision while commanding crowds. He heard God's voice in the wilderness. David wasn't called while wearing the crown. He was chosen while watching sheep. Alone and forgotten, even Jesus, before beginning his mission, spent 40 days in silence and solitude. Why? Because great assignments begin with quiet alignment. So if you've been feeling restless, if you sense that change is near but don't know what it is, if you've been pulled into moments of silence, of reflection, of deep thought, pay attention. You're not alone. You're being spoken to. The whisper before the breakthrough is real. God may not be shouting at you because he's sitting beside you. He may not give you the plan because he's giving you the peace to take the first step. And that whisper, it's not a coincidence. It's confirmation. Stay still, stay sensitive. Because your breakthrough isn't coming, it's already begun.
You see, the very law that gives us success is a two-edged sword. We must control our thinking. The same rule that can lead a man to a life of success, wealth, happiness, and all the things he ever dreamed of for himself and his family. That very same law can lead him into the gutter. It's all in how he uses it, for good or for bad. This is the strangest secret in the world. Now, why do I say it's strange, and why do I call it a secret? Actually, it isn't a secret at all. It was first promulgated by some of the earliest wise men, and it appears again and again throughout the Bible, but very few people have learned it, understand it. That's why it's strange, and why for some equally strange reason it virtually remains a secret. I believe that you could go out and walk down the main street of your town and ask one man after another what the secret of success is, and you probably wouldn't run into one man in a month who could tell you. Now, this information is enormously valuable to us if we really understand it and apply it. It's valuable to us not only for our own lives, but the lives of those around us, our families, employees, associates, and friends. Life should be an exciting adventure. It should never be a bore. A man should live fully, be alive. He should be glad to get out of bed in the morning. He should be doing a job he likes to do because he does it well. One time I heard Grove Patterson, the great late editor-in-chief of the Toledo Daily Blade, make a speech, and as he concluded his speech, he said something I've never forgotten. He said, "My years in the newspaper business have convinced me of several things. Among them, that people are basically good, and that we came from someplace, and we're going someplace. So we should make our time here an exciting adventure. The architect of the universe didn't build a stairway leading nowhere." And the greatest teacher of all, the carpenter from the plains of Galilee, gave us the secret time and time again. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you.
They knew that in order to lead, in order to make an impact, in order to become who they were meant to be, they had to first find themselves in the stillness. They did not fear being alone because they knew that solitude was a classroom where wisdom is taught. A man who embraces loneliness as an opportunity rather than a curse begins to see life differently. He no longer views himself as someone who is missing out, but as someone who is being prepared. He understands that this season of being alone is not about what he lacks, but about what he is gaining. He is gaining clarity. He is gaining inner peace. He is gaining a deeper understanding of himself and of the world around him. It is in solitude that a man can refine his thoughts, sharpen his vision, and strengthen his character. When there are no distractions, when there is no one else to impress, he has the freedom to be honest with himself. He can evaluate his values, his beliefs, his goals. He can ask himself the hard questions. What do I truly want? What do I truly believe? Who am I when no one else is watching? These are the questions that many people avoid their entire lives. They stay busy, they jump from one relationship to the next. They fill their days with constant activity so that they never have to stop and think. But a man who is willing to embrace solitude, to sit in the quiet and wrestle with these questions, will come out stronger, wiser, and more at peace than those who spend their lives running from loneliness. Faith is not something that grows in comfort. It is not something that develops when everything is going well, when a man is surrounded by love and companionship. Faith is built in the moments when he has nothing else to rely on, when he must stand alone and trust that there is something greater holding him up. Faith is what carries a man through the seasons of solitude, reminding him that he is never truly alone, that even in the silence he is being watched over, guided. Self-awareness is another gift that comes with embracing loneliness. When a man has time to reflect, to truly understand himself, he becomes more secure in who he is. He no longer seeks approval from others because he has already approved of himself. He no longer fears rejection because he knows his worth does not depend on anyone else's opinion. This kind of self-awareness creates confidence, not the shallow confidence that comes from external validation, but a deep, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are. A man who has spent time alone, who has faced himself, who has taken the opportunity to grow in faith and self-awareness, is a man who is ready for anything. He is not desperate for a relationship because he has already built a full and meaningful life on his own. He is not afraid of being alone because he has learned to enjoy his own company.
The change was remarkable. Within just a few weeks, I noticed that my thinking had become clearer and more positive. I was seeing opportunities that I had missed before. I was coming up with solutions instead of dwelling on problems. My energy level increased. My confidence grew. All because I changed what I was feeding my mind. I developed what I call mental disciplines. These are simple practices that help me control my mind instead of letting my mind control me. Every morning, I spend time thinking about what I'm grateful for. This programs my mind to look for good things instead of problems. Every day, I visualize my goals as if they're already achieved. This keeps my mind focused on where I'm going instead of where I've been. Every evening, I review my day and ask myself 3 questions. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What will I do differently tomorrow? This helps me learn from every experience and continuously improve. These mental disciplines might seem simple, but they're incredibly powerful. They help me stay in control of my mental state instead of being controlled by whatever happens to me during the day. Here's another crucial point. You have to guard your mind like you would guard your most valuable possession, because that's exactly what it is. Your mind is your most valuable possession. It's more valuable than your house, your car, your bank account, or anything else you own, because everything else you have came from your mind first. But most people are careless with their minds. They let negative people dump their problems on them. They listen to pessimistic news all day long. They expose themselves to violent, depressing, or trashy entertainment. They hang around complainers and critics. And then they wonder why they feel so bad all the time. I learned to say no to negative input. When someone wants to complain to me about their problems, I redirect the conversation towards solutions. When someone wants to gossip or criticize others, I change the subject or walk away. When I'm tempted to watch negative news or entertainment, I choose something more constructive instead. This isn't about living in denial or ignoring reality. This is about protecting your most valuable asset. Your mind is like a computer. What you program into it determines what comes out of it. Program it with garbage and garbage comes out. Program it with excellence and excellence comes out. Mental control also means learning to use problems as training opportunities instead of letting problems defeat you. Every challenge you face is a chance to strengthen your mental muscles. Every setback is an opportunity to practice resilience. Every obstacle is a chance to develop problem-solving skills. But here's what most people don't understand about challenges and difficulties. They're not punishments. They're not evidence that life is unfair or that you're unlucky. They're training sessions. They're opportunities for growth. They're chances to prove to yourself what you're really made of. Think about it this way. If you wanted to build physical strength, you wouldn't avoid lifting weights because they're heavy. You'd lift them because they're heavy. The resistance is what makes you stronger. The difficulty is what develops your muscles. The challenge is what creates the growth.
Have you ever prayed with all your heart, waited faithfully, and then felt like heaven stayed silent? You asked for healing, but the pain remained. You begged for direction, but the fog never lifted. You pleaded for a breakthrough, but the door stayed closed. In those moments, it's easy to believe the lie God isn't listening. But let me tell you the truth. Silence is not absence. Delay is not denial. God is never ignoring you. He's orchestrating something better. You see, we live by the clock, but God works by purpose. To us, time is everything. We say, Lord, I need this by next week. But God says, you'll get it when you're ready.
He does not feel the need to prove anything to anyone because he has already proven to himself that he is strong, capable, and whole. The world often views loneliness as a problem that needs to be solved, but the truth is, loneliness is an invitation. It is an opportunity to step into something greater, to develop a deeper relationship with oneself and with God, to refine one's purpose and prepare for the future. It is not an absence, but a gift, a space in which a man can grow in ways that he never could if he was constantly surrounded by people. So when a man finds himself alone, he should not see it as a punishment. He should not rush to fill the space with meaningless distractions. Instead, he should embrace it, use it, cherish it, because in that solitude he will find something far greater than he ever imagined. He will find himself.